He wants to be really thankful that he won a dustbin man or a hockey player and would end up like the goon. Because these are the characters that come in. Yeah, man. Who's playing an Asian character who comes in and green mist. Was this the WWF having a little bit of a show of power against the Great Kabuki?
Yeah, I'd have to fake my enjoyment for getting a
Lex Luger action figure.
Yeah, I remember doing that, and I remember there was a couple of other ones I got.
And he wanted to elevate
my baby tonight. Bring my baby, which was actually the Road Dogg.
It was, yeah. Boom.
All right there. How's they doing? This is Gimme All Year Wrestling Podcast. My name is Dom, and that's there Anthony. We're talking Royal Rumble 94.
How long is this going to go on for?
Don't know, mate. I might try the whole flipping thing. Aha! No, YouTube! No, you can't have this one. Get
back. January the 22nd, 1994. Let's take you back to that time. UK number one at that time was D-Ream, which is
great band
like
name,
dreams.
Great band name. I always loved it. Take a letter and then like just finish it off with something. It's like saying A or A Anthony. You know, A Anthony
the
or
band A
D. Ominic, you know.
Yeah, that's awful, isn't it?
I don't know, it's awful, yeah, but D-Ream seems to work.
Speaking of awful, do you know what the song was? Things can only get better.
I love that song.
What?
Things can only get better. Can only get better.
After the strong start to the podcast,
I'm not even done.
Things can only get better. Did you know the rest of the words? Now I've got. Go on, because you stopped there and then blamed it on me, but you don't even know the rest of it. You can't start again. Anyway, the UK number one film was Manhattan Under Mystery. No idea what that is.
Any songs in that?
Probably not. I'm afraid not. It's not Aladdin. The commentators for tonight were Vince McMahon and Ted DiBiase in his first commentator role. I didn't rate him. Massive fan of Ted DiBiase.
Questionable. I think he was one of those people. There are very few wrestlers that can turn their attention to commentary immediately and do well. One that was pointed out to me earlier this week by somebody, which will go unnoticed because of his short stint in the WWE, was Austin Aries. He is very good
on commentary.
He was very good.
Yeah, when he's on his injury stint, he was very good.
He was very good. As you would imagine, CM Punk was pretty good.
Yes, yeah. But Ted DiBiase was a great.
I'm trying to think of someone that wasn't.
At promos, and so I would have expected him to have been really good on commentary. But he made it less about like the wrestling and a little bit about him, but without gaining any heat from McMahon. That's the thing. And it just didn't work. That's
why it doesn't work. And that's what I'm saying. Again, I'm trying to think of a wrestler that has done not as bad a job, but. I'm trying to think of someone in recent memory.
They have wrestlers all the time now on commentary.
But has done it a few times, and I can't think of one. I tell you
who is good on commentary, who after he's sort of done with his wrestling career would make a great commentator, The Miz.
Yeah.
The Miz is a really good commentator.
Great. Yeah, as like The Miz or Mike Mizanin or whatever. But he'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
He'd have a decent, like when he's about 60, 50, 60, something like that. He'd probably, he's probably got a very lengthy career. Very lengthy career.
One would assume so. He's great, man. So, 1994 Royal Rumble. It's quite a big Royal Rumble. The build-up to WrestleMania 10. We get some nice moments in this with Owen and Bret Hart, which we'll go into.
This was, to me, a better performance for Owen Hart than he carried forward into the next pay-per-view because he was being a face at this time. I think it was interesting. He was explosive and it was really dynamic. There's a couple of people that surprised me on this pay-per-view, IRS included.
Oh, really? I didn't rate him very much.
Well, but he's never had he didn't really have very many exciting matches.
Well, no, and it was sort of a bit of a filler match, really. Tatanka. Okay,
Tatanka,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go into all of that and more. If you are enjoying the podcast, please hit that like button. Give us some love. Totally. Comment down below. Ask any questions you want. If you ask a question, we'll quite happily put it on the next podcast.
Anything,
man.
Not that we're desperate people, but it's just nice to have some attention.
Absolutely.
And we do this for the love, and if anybody watches it, whether it's 5 people or 500 or whatever, we appreciate the time. But if you hate us, man, even if you hate the way my face looks, or you hate the way, Anthony's shoulders hang, or something along those lines.
I like your shoulders.
I like your shoulders. I like your shoulders, but somebody out there might not.
Okay.
Anything. We just want some engagement, and we've got a few. Facebook's great for that.
Oh man,
Twitter's pretty good as well.
Great,
but we want it on YouTube, on the place of the channel, the space that we're in, our own little hell in the cell. This is, this is this little screen here on YouTube. We want you to be in our space. Come in, invest it, throw yourself in.
Great.
Embed yourself within our.
Just hit that subscribe button and the little bell thing that lets you know when the next video's out. Should we move on to our first match, dude?
Yeah, man.
Rock and roll. Let's go with Bam Bigelow with Luna Vachon versus Tatanka. I love the fact you just laugh when I get something wrong. When I trip over my word, you just go.
It's because you rip into me for the rest of everything in all other aspects of my life.
True.
Every time everywhere out of this podcast, you just rip into me all the time. It's a wonder we've been friends for as long as we have.
It's our relationship. It's a good friendship. So the original.
You keep telling yourself that, you evil person.
The original plan for this match was for it to be Tatanka versus Ludwig Borger, who's sort of been built up in the last few pay-per-views. But after an ankle injury, Bam Bam was put into the match. Obviously, Bam Bam and Tatanka, we've seen him a few times. I had a heated rivalry with a lot of back and forth going into the pay-per-view. We'd seen him at SummerSlam 93 in the 6-man tag match.
Yep.
So, by the injury, they'd managed to put him back with Bam Bam. And actually, that was probably a good thing. But it was Ludwig Borger that destroyed Tatanka's streak. And he had an Asuka-style streak, His undefeated streak was big, man.
Ludwig Borger was kind of the first, the guy, the first Heidenreich, or the first, even Damien said it, where they had a lot of, well, not the first, obviously, but of this era, a guy that had so much hope pinned on him so early on that just completely bombed.
Because of an injury.
Because of an injury,
So Luna Vachon comes out in a thong singlet. Did you enjoy her thong singlet, Dom?
I am a huge fan of Luna Vachon's ability on the mic,
Luna Vachon, don't you?
And on the screen.
She's very good.
What she wears is cool.
I love the way that she was scowling.
Probably
at the crowd,
inspired a legion of punks and goths in those times.
Yeah, man.
So I got a lot of respect for Luna. Yeah.
So, on to the start of the match. Tatanka goes to attack Bam Bam early on. Bam Bam throws his head into the ground as Tatanka delivers a massive DDT. Really selling that move, which was great.
That was great. There's a great double cross body in this as well, they both come into each other. And, I think the dynamic, like I say, Tatanka has... he's not ever going to be a Hall of Fame guy, but he was definitely
Is
a strong...
he not? Does Tatanka not? I think...
No.
He's iconic, though.
No.
Really?
No, Mr.
That's
Anthony,
interesting.
no.
Yeah, but to think about others, who's a good example? We've got a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame who have come from outside of the WWF, and Tatanka was very much a WWF sort of stalemate.
Yeah, he was a staple. He was a mid-card staple.
Yeah.
Someone that you could just put there, and he would always put on. I'm not going to say consistently good matches.
No, WrestleMania 9,
not the same quality as Dolph Ziggler.
No. Jesus. Go on. It's like 10 minutes in and Dolph Ziggler's already come out.
Not the same quality as Dolph Ziggler, but still quality matches. And
does Dolph Ziggler deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Right. In that case, Tatanka deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm sorry. What? How many championships?
Tatanka was Intercontinental Champion, wasn't he? I'm sure he was at some point.
I'm going to take a moment because you may not be wrong, but I want to check.
We then, in the match, go on to a really weak-looking bear hug from Bam Bam. Again, Bam Bam was one of these guys who, if he was working with the right person that could sell it well, it'd work. I hate a bear hug unless you are riving your opponent about, and we talked about it a few times. This just looks like he's supporting his weight on Tatanka.
A Slammy Award. He has won a Slammy Award in WWE.
That's not the best accolade, is it?
Yep, and the Slammy Award was, I don't know what, I'm not going to tell you what it was for because there's a lot of reading to do. But yeah, I couldn't remember him winning a title. And
Turns out didn't know. Sorry, right, yeah. That's me wrong.
Fact checking there.
So Tatanka tomahawks up. Sorry.
We call it the tomahawk.
Tomahawk?
We call it that, yeah.
Tomahawk.
Tomahawk.
Give me a haul, yeah.
Oh my God.
A great looking power slam from Tatanka,
OMG.
which for a big guy like Bam Bam to get him up and deliver that, which is put to a halt when the two crossbody together.
There's a guy, man. There's a guy that I think could have done incredible. We've talked about this hundreds of times.
Bam
Bam.
Oh man, yeah.
Like
for the two
so
to crossbody like that, great.
In ECW, I think he was
had a
world
really
champion,
good
wasn't
run.
he? Wasn't he world champion in ECW?
Not entirely sure, but you're going to research that right now.
Shall we do that?
Yeah.
But great, what a great performer. And even as a face,
man.
Even in his brief face run, he had a very brief face run, and you know,
he was back and forth with the face run. We saw him face early on in the sort of Survivor Series 87 when he was teaming up with Hogan. Was it 87 or 88? After Bam Bam cuts short another Tomahawk up. Tomahawk up keeps happening here. He mocks Tatanka's Hulk up, acting like an Indian. I thought that was great. That was the sort of stuff that you see from like Kevin Owens these days. Kevin Owens constantly reminds me of Bam Bam.
Yeah,
do you remember when Kevin Owens was fighting Enzo Amore and he sort of hits him out of the ring and then does that back shuffle mocking him? I mean, this is exactly the same as that.
That's on one of the highlights, like top 10 disses or something.
It's great, man. It's great. And again, this sort of Bam Bam imitating the Tomahawk up was brilliant. Tatanka ends up winning with what was probably a bit of a weak looking crossbody off the top rope, but
you know,
it was okay.
I thought it was the best showing that they've had together.
It was actually
the best thing they've had together so far, and certainly a better showing than we've seen from Tatanka in a long time.
It was good, yeah. It was a solid match.
Bigelow did not win any titles in the WWE apart from a Slammy Award and also the worst work match of the year. But that was a Pro Wrestling Insider Award.
And was he ECW World Champion?
He was ECW World Champion one time. That was a great
good
feud, which I'm going to go watch again at some point with Taz. He had in
right,
ECW.
okay. Taz's WWF career didn't go to plan, did it?
Could have been so much more.
Could have been.
We talked about this again, but that introduction, you know, did you ever watch that match when he faces Kurt Angle?
Yes, I was watching it at the time.
He destroyed Kurt Angle,
and then within a couple of weeks he was on Heat.
I think there was an injury, right? There was definitely an injury thing that plagued him.
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure,
anyway,
but we'll get to it. So if you're watching this video in 2025, head over to our recent videos, and we've probably just covered Taz's debut. Next match, the Quebecers, which is Jacques Rougeau and Pierre Oulet, also known as Carl Oulet.
Oulet or Lafay or something like that.
With Johnny Polo. Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Well, hang on a second. I'll tell you because I remember it being said. Oh, it must be Oulet, yeah. Must be.
Versus Bret and Owen Hart. So, if you haven't seen our podcast before, we like to talk a little bit about debuts of wrestlers, and here we have Pierre. Obviously, Jacques Rougeau is part of the Rougeau brothers and then became the Mountie, but Pierre's making his pay-per-view debut here, so a little bit of information of him. Sometimes you'll see Carl with an eye patch on. This was due to an accident with a BB gun when he was younger, when a friend shot him in the eye, leaving him with only 90% of his vision in that eye. There we go. So oftentimes you'll see him with an eye patch on.
Dude.
Yeah,
that's freaking me out.
It's weird, man.
Can you imagine?
It's pretty painful. No. Pretty painful. Oh no. Before joining the WWF, he'd been fighting in the independents, including a tag team with Eddie Watts, known as the Super Bees.
What would we be called?
What would we be called?
I think we'd just be called Hulk.
The Flying Moths.
The Flying Moths?
Yeah, moths aren't very pretty, are they?
The Bearded Bros.
The Bearded Bros. The Moustache Mountain. You can't grow a moustache.
I'm sorry, what? Mine's going to be bigger than yours in a few months, mate. I'll show you. Mate.
Oh, yeah? Are you actually going to grow a moustache?
Yeah, I'm going to grow everything. I'm growing it all.
Wonderful to see.
Everywhere, all over the body. It's all going to happen. It's all growing. It's all coming eventually. Finally, it's going to be here. Finally.
Good luck with that. His biceps were really big. They have a circumference of 2 feet, which is probably bigger than all of our 4 biceps combined.
Well, I don't know about yours, mate, but mine are definitely bigger.
You've got bigger biceps. Yeah, okay. We'll have an arm wrestle later, see who wins. That'd be fun. Yeah, well, like a couple of inches combined, probably. He was 2 feet, man.
Yeah.
Big biceps. He left the company due to a real-life altercation with the Clique. So we know the Clique as Triple H, Diesel, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels. After Michaels' politics backstage changed a match from a muddy finish at a house show against Kevin Nash to a clean finish for Diesel. However, during this house show, he refused to do the angle, and the match ended in a double count out instead as they started to shoot fight. There was a lot of tensions, and the Clique had a lot of power backstage, man. He wrestled with ECW and WCW and TNA before returning to the Independents, where he beat Kevin Nash, who he had a feud on and off with in the Independents in 2009, by turning the match into a shoot fight, taking advantage of Kevin Nash's real-life injured arm and getting the win. Yeah, these two really had a feud, like real-life feud. And he still wrestles to this day, so you can go see him if you live in America, and he's at one of the awesome independents that I'm sure you have. Cool. Next up,
they do have some good stuff.
Oh, they do, man. I sort of wish we was there. Like for some of the old timers that you could see.
Should we get you a visa? I got my visa. We can.
Have you?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Take it over there. Go on tour.
As journalists.
Go on tour.
Wrestling journalists. Yeah, it'd be fun, man. We see a video package of the Hart's match at Survivor Series. Obviously, this is where the initial Hart and Owen feud the breakup started. And then we get an interview with Owen, who talks about living in the shadow of Bret Hart. And he challenges him to a one-to-one. I love this constant reference to the shadows, and the fact that later on we get the Bret Hart documentary. Is it Walking in Shadows?
Something like
Living
that.
in Shadows?
Something along those lines. But he became the Shadow for... No, he was called... What was it? He was the Rocket, but then people started calling him the Shadow for a long time. Yeah. And then he was something else too. Something else during the Attitude Era.
The Blue Blazer?
No. He had a thing. He was like toxic. He had like a yellow and black warning sign. I'm just gonna find that out. Like in his attire.
I'll carry on.
Yeah,
reading through. Bret, although he never stepped down from a challenge, says that he absolutely refuses to fight his brother in the ring. Bret was so good at acting naturally, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the one big plus I have about Bret. The
black hat.
The black hat. Thank you.
There you go.
Isn't that what Tommaso Ciampa's known as now?
No.
What's he known as? He's something Hart.
Maybe he is the same. He was the Psycho Killer, but then I think they've turned him into the Black Hat.
Yeah, I think his new T-shirt has a black hat. Cool. Good reference there, man. Good reference, because obviously the same with Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano having this wonderful feud.
I never really thought about that.
It's not a callback, but similar storyline here with Owen and Bret.
Never thought about that. Interesting. Yes.
Very interesting.
Obviously, the Hart would have been spelled differently, but yeah, it's still the same.
Yeah.
Still the same thing.
Not H-A-A-R-T, H-E-A-R-T. We then see that they've both made up for this match. So we see a really corny promo where they're sort of together. It's quite forced happiness. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and Bret's got his arm around him like this.
Yeah,
and he was there like kind of looking a bit awkward. You know, like you're looking now. You know, like we're best friends.
You have such a grip, man. Yeah. I really can't wait to see who wins this arm wrestling contest. I think you might win. We'll see. Next up, we get the really forced promo. I love this. I think it's a really great watch, and it's half believable, but not really. Enjoyed it. I mean, this whole match is about building up their feud further. Between this pay-per-view and the last, the Quebecers have lost the title to a week-long reign for Marty Jannetty and the 1-2-3 Kid. However, the Quebecers took it back at Madison Square Garden not very long afterwards.
A lot of time. And Marty Jannetty has a good showing tonight, actually, in the Rumble.
It was okay. We'll get onto the Rumble, but I'm not a massive fan of the Rumble.
Marty Jannetty and the 1-2-3 Kid, I always thought they could have done more as a tag team. They were great.
Yes.
1-2-3 Kid went on to more success with Bob Sparkplug Holly, who I think, again, tonight...
he's ridiculous. A debut later on, man. He's a debut later on.
Ridiculous, man.
And then we get another interview with Owen and Bret. Owen is going to help Bret win his third tag championship, and he's going to do it for Bret. Great build-up. Let's see how it all breaks down. So the match starts with them feeling each other out. You can tell...
that was nice. It was build-up, break them down. You know,
man.
It's clever. I like it.
You can tell that they've allowed a lot of time for the match. Yeah. This is one of the biggest stories in the WWF at the minute, and Bret is one of the big top stars.
I think Owen carries this.
I thought he was great, yes.
I think he carries the whole thing.
I think he carries a lot of the story
Bret,
as well.
To be fair, I think Bret was kind of letting him do this. I mean, no one lets Owen do anything, but Bret was definitely allowing Owen the spotlight a lot more.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely.
We probably had a conversation about this.
Yes.
That's what I would do to you. Because obviously I'm the Bret.
You're the Bret. You let me have a bit of spotlight. I'm Owen, I'm slightly better.
You'll always you may be slightly better, but we'll never actually know because you'll always be in my shadow.
If only you was tall enough to cast a shadow.
Yeah, good point. I don't think I've ever said something more arrogant in my entire life.
I quite like it, man.
I feel quite bad now.
Do you feel dirty?
Yeah, I do.
Good. Vince does my absolute head in during this match. It's one of the biggest down points of the match. So he's constantly selling these near falls. When Vince sells a near fall, he'll count and he'll go, so say the pin in, he'll go 1, 2, 3, right? And it's not 3.
Yeah.
And he sort of builds up this weird excitement. It's really annoying.
He's like 3, no.
Yeah, but it becomes so repetitive, especially during this match where we have quite a few near falls. Yeah, I hate that commentary style. I really do.
This team was one of the weakest we've seen.
Yes, I agree. Vince as a play-by-play, I'm not fond on anyway because he doesn't really call any moves whatsoever.
Yeah.
And DiBiase didn't really bring much to it at all.
He makes the broadcast about, one of the strongest things about the broadcast he's in, and this isn't a positive necessarily, certainly not for me, is his voice. You know what I mean? People make the no. He makes the broadcast. One of the most heavy features in it is the strength of his voice.
Yes.
And that's not a good thing as a commentator. You're supposed to be.
No.
Guys like Michael Cole and JR,
who can hide at the right time.
Yeah, they complement the action and they are secondary to it. There are times when I think Vince's voice is the most dominant thing 100%. On the screen. But
I tell you one thing that Vince can do well on commentary, not necessarily on commentary, but his announcement for WrestleMania is a really good thing, and he can sort of carry off that energy. But in terms of match calling, not as fond.
No.
A nice double team segment in the ring where they're all in the ring. The Quebecers spend a little bit too much time away from the fight to talk strategy and cuddle and that sort of stuff, which sort of slows the match a little bit at the start. The Harts build up the hot tags really well, and it's great to see a segment where Owen delivers multiple drop kicks to the Quebecers.
They were great.
Owen gets Carl into a sharpshooter, but Pierre comes in, breaks it up. Owen, at that point, gets hung up really quite nastily on the ropes at one point due to a move that was done to him. He snaps his head back really aggressively. I hate
every time I see stuff like that, and especially with a guy like Owen, you're just like, because obviously you know that he has a documented history of issues with his neck anyway.
Yeah.
And he caused a few issues for people with their neck.
And that's the bottom line.
Indeed. Do you remember the T-shirt? I think it was one of the most brutal T-shirts in wrestling history.
No, I don't know about this T-shirt.
316. I just broke your neck.
Oh, what?
That was a T-shirt on the back.
Wow. Making money out of really terrible stuff.
That was a thing. I'll pull it out for you. There'll be a still of it.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Johnny Polo opens the ropes for Bret to fly out the ring. The storyline is at this point that Hart injures his knee, which carries on throughout the night into the Rumble as well. And the Quebecers are constantly taking advantage of it during the match. Owen tries to...
Just for your reference, there it is. It exists. I'm just showing the Owen 316 shirt. Well, I'll be able to get... I'm sure they'll be able to get one anyway at some point.
That's nasty.
Anyway, sorry.
No,
I just wanted to show you that it actually exists, and it's one of the most brutal wrestling T-shirts I've ever seen.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
Owen tries to help out, but he ends up distracting the ref, and it continues as a beatdown for Bret. Bret is absolutely dead in the ring as the Quebecers continue to punish a knee. Yeah. It's good storytelling. Yeah. So this is all building up to the rest of the story of the night.
Bret's brilliant at selling this. Obviously, he tried to go for that sharpshooter, and he can't. Bret is one of the at this time he was selling really well.
Yeah, he was realistic at selling.
Yeah.
I hate his face the rest of the time where it's really static.
I know we talked about this. Yeah.
In the next episode, Bret is dead in the ring, blah, 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 blah. He goes to apply a sharpshooter from a prone position.
Do
you like that?
It was good. I mean, the whole thing with the sharpshooter not working for Bret. You know, the knee giving in, all that stuff.
Yeah,
was wicked. You know, I thought that was really well done. Like I said, if I'd have booked this, I would have booked, I would have booked something where Owen gets a little bit more involved and he's trying to fight them off, both of them at the same time, and then he gets beaten down and then they get the pin.
I agree.
On Bret, so that Owen would have had even more of a bratty reason to be
complain,
angry, because he got beat down.
Enabling as well as that. Yeah. No, I think I really like the way that Bret's using. Most wrestlers do a finisher, they call for the finisher, and they do the finisher, or it's reversed, and it's very much either this or this. Mm-hmm. Bret, to me, is one of the first that we've sort of seen on these pay-per-views that's trying to apply his finisher in interesting ways. Mm-hmm. We saw it with the Bulldog match at SummerSlam 92. And in this one, again, he's lying in a prone position and tries to get the sharpshooter sort of going from a sort of figure four into a sharpshooter, which is really cool. He collapses after rolling backwards. The ref rings the bell. Owen starts going absolutely mental in the ring. Bret should have tagged instead of going for a sharpshooter.
Yeah, and he repeats it over and over. It becomes really intense.
Yes.
He's like, you should have tagged me.
Yeah, it does, And so Owen's getting more and more frustrated. The ref has given the match to the Quebecers, not wanting to see Bret carry on. And Owen then kicks the injured ankle of Bret. What about me? He says, what about me? It's great stuff in it, man.
Really well done.
Really well good. Done. Love Owen Hart here.
Yeah.
And as Owen's walking away as well, this is really good. So he's walking away and he's basically cutting a promo as he's walking out of the ramp. And I think that's a great example of someone taking the time that they've got
ring psychology,
and using it to the best of their ability. And, you could take footage of that and it'd work. Not just walking away upset, huffy, puffy. He's cutting a promo, basically. Man.
He's having a go. He's having a go, and he's getting his 2 cents in before he leaves that and that camera's off him. Yeah.
And then he gets straight backstage. He's got an interview with Owen where he describes Bret as selfish. Bret has took away his opportunity. He's took all of Owen's opportunities, and he's not bothered. He may be the one to take Bret's opportunity in the Rumble. Yeah. So we've got an idea that these two are going to meet up in the Rumble. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen, and I've got problems with that. The feud, it feels so real.
I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to save it for the next, the next big thing.
The feud feels so real compared to most of the other storylines that we're getting in the WWF at this time. And Owen's promo delivery skill helps sell that. Hart's sort of really factual, I'm not going to fight my brother. It's great. Yeah. It's great. And this is, when we was watching it as kids, this is what we were talking about, not us directly, but we was all excited. And it wasn't necessarily that you was on one person's side, you could have been on the... It was quite grey, which is interesting. That's interesting in wrestling. So, next match, an Intercontinental Championship match between Razor Ramona and IRS, the Taxman.
Yeah, best showing I've seen of IRS so far in history.
It was good.
Like, and it wasn't well beating by any means. But when you got a guy like IRS, and you're moderately entertained, and I was moderately entertained by IRS. Yeah. As a performer.
We switch commentators at this point. Yay! Why didn't we have this all the way? It's Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross again. This should have been the standard. Who are still talking about the impact of Bret and Owen. I think that took away a bit of the shine from the match.
I don't know, man. I think they do that a lot these days as well with the bigger card things, the bigger marquee matches. I think that they're constantly trying to build for the audience the importance of the Rumble.
Well, that was the important
thing.
And don't forget,
and it's sad for guys like this. It's sad for guys like, especially IRS, who doesn't have, doesn't get to shine on a platform and a stage like this in a one-on-one capacity a lot.
Well, IRS has been sort of feuding with Razor and 1 2 3 Quid quite a lot, but this match is more about
1 2 3 quid, mate.
You can buy them in the shops now.
You got 1 2 3 quid. I could buy some cigs with 1, 2, 3 quid.
IRS should serve use that as part of his gimmick. Oh, the 1, 2, 3 quid.
I don't think it would have worked.
It wouldn't have worked because he's not English.
Because he's not English.
So yeah, going into the match, they're talking about IRS stealing Razor's gold from his neck, and if it's in the briefcase. It's a lot of IRS running away, sneaking moves onto Razor's. He gets a lot of heat from the audience, but it's nothing special. It's okay though. It's not bad. It's just nothing special. This match is not about IRS and Razor. It's about something that happens in the match, but we'll get into that. And there's only so much heat you can get as a taxman.
And there was a classic example of our little, face heel thing from the 80s here, where Razor attacks IRS.
Yeah.
And there's, that we'd thought we'd gone over that from the 80s, the whole kind of, you can get away with it when you're a face.
Yeah. Oh, no, it happens so much during the new generation era. Bret Hart's one of the worst for it.
We were like, oh, yep, okay, face is fine, it's absolutely fine. And we've not done that for a while.
Bret Hart is constantly acting like a heel. He was
a proper great heel.
A proper great face.
Loved Bret Hart as a heel, man.
Cool, man. Cool.
Do you remember, the era I'm talking about with the Bulldog and the Hart Foundation? It's coming up.
Yeah, so, I didn't see enough of it at the time, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
How Undertaker was supernatural evil.
Yes.
Bret Hart was like, man, what an evil human being.
It was interesting because it's Canada. It was a really interesting time because
very centered around that.
People hated him in America, but then the Canadians loved him, and so you'd get wherever Raw was, you'd get these incredible either cheers for the heels or the new faces, and all the other way around for the Americans. It was
very
good
interesting.
Stuff.
Very
Look forward
interesting.
to seeing it, man. And
it's one of the reasons I love doing this. It's one of the reasons I love doing this podcast is that we have the opportunity to go back over this stuff, and it is really special. And to be able to do it with you,
it's cool, man.
My shadow.
A nice spot where IRS jumps off the second turnbuckle, but Razor gets his legs up. IRS lands on his feet and then drops an elbow on him instead. A great little fake out here by IRS. One of the more interesting things we've seen him do. IRS has a lot of the lead in this match, which actually makes Razor look pretty weak considering they're trying to build him up for a massive WrestleMania 10 match. Irish whips Razor into the ref and tries to attack him with a briefcase, but Razor counters it and goes for the pin. Obviously, the referee is made of glass and can't count anyone because he's dead. Razor calls for the Razor's edge, but Shawn Michaels comes running out from the back and attacks Razor with his Intercontinental Championship.
Mid Razor's edge?
Mid Razor's edge, and it's good. So we've got this whole belt versus belt thing going on where Shawn Michaels is saying he never really lost the Intercontinental Championship. Razor is the official Intercontinental Championship, and it's a great story going into WrestleMania 10.
Undisputed. I think one of the only times any other title from the WWE apart from the world title has been undisputed. It was phrased as that. Certainly coming up.
Oh, it was,
the undisputed Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
And we have that quite regularly with the Heavyweight Championship.
We do, yeah. And then you've got Jericho's run with that as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All three men are down at this point, so IRS, Razor Ramon, and the glass referee, as IRS crawls over and gets a pin on Razor and celebrates as the new Intercontinental Champion. Yay! Now it all gets a bit muddy here, so IRS is winning, has won. A second ref then comes, argues with the ref, then Razor gets the Razor's edge, which the ref then counts, gets the pin, and then wins.
Confusing.
It's this whole second ref getting involved. We don't see it anymore, do we? It doesn't happen anymore.
Occasionally you see it, but very, very seldom do you see it. It's more of a big match, big pay-per-view thing where the referee will come out and then it'll be...
I remember one about 2 years ago where the match got restarted a couple of times because it was just before the brand split, and it was Shane McMahon restarted it because of it.
There was also CM Punk and The Rock.
Right.
And a few other times I can think in recent-ish years.
But it doesn't really work. So if you do this all the time, it doesn't It becomes expected.
And there was a lot of that this time, wasn't it? You were saying, previous pay-per-views, things are overdone quite a lot. I mean, things of course get reused by writers. You can see all these storylines have been reused in 2018. But there are certain things that I think they've learnt from that they repeated a lot. Because maybe they thought the audience was more gullible. You can't really do that now. You can't really fake out an audience these days.
The problem is we want them, whether we agree with the wins or not, we want them wins where the referee misses the pinfall of one character and it ends up going the other way. It's an interesting storytelling device, and that then builds up the feud more, and that's the important thing. Doing it like this doesn't really do anything apart from keep the Intercontinental Championship on Razor Ramon.
Very confusing, but it leads very nicely to the WWE's credit. It leads very nicely to what we have in the next pay-per-view
at WrestleMania 10, exactly, and that's what this match is all about. Really, it's about setting up that. The messy finish was way too much for me, and I thought IRS got way too much offence. Actually, I think Razor should have been dominating before Michaels come in. Really, I would have let him a bit stronger. Now we get a really weird segment, man. So we're going into Yokozuna and the Undertaker, which I'm going to break down play by play because it's just a bit much. It's all a bit much.
I've never seen anything like it. Obviously, you've never can see anything like that anyway, unless it's the Undertaker. But in terms of that match involvement of like half the roster.
Oh man, I mean, they're telling Undertaker as a god, but
I mean, I've never seen anything like that since.
Yeah, it's a bit too over the top, I think.
Yeah, very much so.
A video package at the start from Paul Bearer and Undertaker, who has made a double wide casket for Yokozuna. Love that. Undertaker's filing the wood. Merry Christmas to Yokozuna. Ho, ho, ho. It's all a bit weird, the promos leading up to it.
Yeah.
He tries to make it as threatening as he can, but, it was a bit weird. Yokozuna, during the video package...
A little bit creepy guy in the graveyard, I think.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Come on, Undertaker, you don't need to say that. Yokozuna, during this whole run and video package, we see a lot of it, did a really good job of selling a fear of the Undertaker.
There are people who are very... They most of the time when they stick people with the Undertaker, it's always guys that can sell, like Booker T was
Kamala,
great at that.
Man. Kamala,
even of course you reference that a lot, but like Booker T with like Randy Orton again, very good.
But even Rusev did great at the Greatest Royal Rumble earlier this year of selling that fear, and it's that's part of what keeps the Undertaker mystique live. And for someone like Yokozuna, who had been the monster heel for a long time, to be selling it as such a terrifying thing, this wasn't just Kamala on the sort of house show circuit. This was your world champion selling a fear of Undertaker. Must hear about 20 rest in peace during the promo.
I think they still do that these days, to be fair.
Of course they do. Undertaker comes out, I'm taking souls and rest in peace.
Taking souls and digging holes.
Yeah. And they didn't do anything with that at all.
I love that, actually. I do love that. That came
on the SmackDown that came to him
episode, that came to him like 50, like well, not 50. Came to him a lot. Like that's a good catchphrase. If they'd used that for decades, it would have been mint. Yeah. But I mean, they could have had so much merchandise sales off that. It's a bit late now. It's a bit late now to give him a killer catchphrase. 30 years.
There's a bit in this promo with Paul Bearer sat on the back of a horse with the whip. Paul Bearer with a whip, Dom.
I mean,
Would you let Paul Bearer whip you,
Dom?
I
was just about to say, are you into that? Would you be into that?
What, with Paul Bearer? Probably not, I have to say.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, nah, mate.
I thought he was going to say, "Oh yes."
Well, were you hoping that was going to happen now?
I set it up for you, man.
He's dead now, so
yeah, I know. Yeah,
I think maybe if he was still alive and in living colour, perhaps I could give it some more thought.
Living colour,
as
opposed to living black and white.
Well,
he was quite black and white. He was very pale.
He was very pale. Yes.
Very pale man. Yokozuna peers into a casket brought to ringside, and Undertaker pops out, sending a terrified Yokozuna falling backwards out of the ring ropes. Really good work from Yokozuna, that man. A nice little video package to set up the match. So we have Yokozuna with Cornette and Fuji, as usual, and Undertaker with Bearer, all of who play a part in this match, as well as half of the roster. Paul Bearer enters the ring with a huge casket, followed by the Phenom. It was very clever having the massive casket, because it makes you think that actually there's a chance that Yokozuna is going to lose. And I think most people probably telegraphed that Yokozuna was going to lose in this match. Yeah. During the house show circuit this time, one of the matches that we saw was Yokozuna versus The Undertaker, and the whole gimmick of that match wasn't that it was a big casket, it was a normal size casket, and when Undertaker rolled Yokozuna into it, it had exploded and collapsed, basically, and that was something that they were doing at all the house shows, not just for us. Yep. Undertaker always won. Which was great, good fun. I love house shows. Man. I love house shows. Good fun.
I mean, having been to a few, it does take away the magic. I think without the competition, the commentary.
I do my own commentary. I do my own
what's
commentary.
Wrong with me? Yeah.
Who knows what's right with you would be a much easier question to answer.
That's actually a compliment.
Thanks, dude. Yes, I think it was.
First time for everything.
First time for everything. Yokozuna, his selling has got so over the top now, and it's great, making Undertaker look a lot better than he made Hogan look, for example, during the Yokozuna-Hogan feud. The immovable object is up and down a lot more in the ring, which is really good to see. Yokozuna goes for a chair, but Undertaker takes it off him and attacks him with it. The casket match obviously is no DQ, so Yokozuna throws an eyeful of salt to The Undertaker before taking a chair to Undertaker. One of the shots, man, is like a headshot to the back of Yokozuna's head, Undertaker's head. And I was like, ooh, man, it's close.
It's like, there's some really good shots in there, but I mean, you could tell they don't use chairs, those performers that often. But it was close. It was tight.
It was close. Yokozuna gets Undertaker into the casket, but he stands back up and gets his comeback, which is stopped by Yokozuna's belly to belly. I love that belly to belly, man. That's wicked.
He has got a great belly to belly.
Yokozuna really poorly sells a choke slam. He was a bigger guy. It probably wasn't the easiest thing for him to sell in terms of jumping into the air, but he did sell a really good DDT at times.
That DDT though.
Yeah, man.
Always love that Undertaker's DDT. That fly, it was like a flying DDT.
It was, man. It was awesome. It was beautiful. Not that easy to get support as well from The Undertaker, because a lot of performers had used the support from Undertaker as well as jumping up, and Yokozuna can't do that because Undertaker can't lift with one hand Yokozuna. I mean, no, he couldn't. Yokozuna was massive. Yep. Yokozuna gets pushed into the casket, but before the lid is closed, Crush comes out to attack The Undertaker. Then Kabuki. Then Bam Bam. The Undertaker finishes all four men off whilst Yokozuna's only... I mean, it's only Bam Bam. The great Kabuki. Right, one of the first times we've seen him in the WWF, Crush. And a massively influential wrestler. We'll talk about him because he's in the Rumble. I've got a few notes on him. Crush, the guy they've been telling, it defeats them all. And then when it looks like Undertaker is close to losing, Paul Bearer gets the urn off Fuji and then lays out Cornette and Fuji. So Adam Bomb come out and Jeff Jarrett come out to help the heels. Then the Head Shrinkers, then Diesel. I mean,
all the baddies.
They're really selling Undertaker as this ultimate force. They close Undertaker in the casket, but he comes back out for another flurry. Yokozuna at this point, so Undertaker's back out. Yokozuna opens the casket and green smoke comes out. I think the idea of this is to have it look like Undertaker's soul was in the air and this was the disappearing of the soul.
When I was a kid watching this, it was a big deal,
As a kid. Now it's just way too hokey, I think, is the thing. The heels do multiple... I put spaces, but it's probably some attacks into Undertaker.
They lay into him, don't they?
They do.
It's like a gang attack, isn't it? It's like And
he's pushed into the coffin and locked in. The heels push the casket back. Hey, we did it, Jeff Jarrett. Yay!
But wait,
Halfway down, we get the bell of the Undertaker playing. Doom.
I remember watching this and jumping back when he opens his eyes, like frightened. Like,
because
I'm a massive wuss.
We get green smoke coming from under the casket, which is similar to sort of the end, and then we see Undertaker on the big screen, and this is the bit you're on about where he opens his eyes, aren't you?
Yeah.
He's sort of dead in the casket. It's a crop shot of a casket with the Undertaker in it. Open his eyes. The spirit of the Undertaker lives in the soul of all mankind. Great. So soon all of mankind will see the rebirth of the Undertaker. We see the Undertaker raised above the video screen and raised to the heavens. I think that was Marty Jannetty, I think, in costume as the Undertaker for that point. Paul Bearer takes off the coffin.
Nice little fact, though.
Yeah, thanks. I'm pretty sure it was. I can't remember where I heard it, but I'm pretty sure it was. He was... So why? Why are we doing this to the Undertaker? Why are we killing him off? Well, there's two real reasons. His wife was having a baby, so he wanted a bit of time off for that. But he was also nursing a lot of injuries that had been sustained for a while, so it was time for him to take a little bit of time off.
He was a very active performer. The stuff that he was doing was quite, but even back in the day, like he was very active in the ring and very, just very, I guess, agile for
when
a guy
he was wrestling
as
Mean Mark Calloway.
Just a lot of work. He put a lot of work in over the years.
Yeah, and people wanted to see the Undertaker, so he was a massive staple of the house shows and stuff like that. Right, so it's not a match, this at all. It's sort of a bit weird. I mean, I'd say it's more interesting than a lot of things.
It was nice to build the supernatural element of the Undertaker.
Well, that's it. It helped form Undertaker's legacy.
Very few times where you can take a guy that's a bit Rocky Horror Show, well, not Rocky Horror Show, but like a character that's kind of, so unbelievable, but make him intimidating, make him scary. A guy that dresses like a dead man, and put him in a casket. You're like, oh my god! I mean, it's sports entertainment to a T. But there's been a couple of times in history. One was this, where you're like, whoa! It's like horror. It becomes like, oh, he's still here. He's still there. He's like, and the second was the in which we're coming up to in a few years, the Attitude Era, where he crucifies Stephanie.
Yeah.
And he's like a demon overlord, like Satan almost, and he's very much positioned in that type of pure evil with the Ministry of Darkness. Yeah. And you this kind of cartoonish character, of like the zombie, like almost like a zombie character. The way he walks the ring becomes the legacy you were talking about. His legacy was very much. This was the start of something massive. I mean,
his character was great anyway, and they'd always sort of built it up. This was hokey as all hell.
But it was something about
quite entertaining to watch. I mean, let's be honest.
Something about it, like I say, it scared me as a kid.
Yeah, I'm sure at the time, if I was watching it, I probably and sort of my age, I'd be like, well, what have they done that for? That was really annoying.
Yeah.
But it was either this or a load of matches with Greg the Hammer Valentine. There wasn't much happening in WWF at this point. So unfortunately, this is. I think I'm okay with it. I'm okay. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. It's a bit rubbish to... Can you imagine doing it now, sending out all your guys to get beat up by one guy?
Yeah.
Like, they'd only reserve that for someone like Brock Lesnar. When they have them segments where Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe are facing off and half the ring sort of come out and he beats them all off. And I'm never a massive fan of that. I prefer jobbers, man.
I like it for the spectacle.
Yeah, but just get a load of jobbers. Let's not bury Gallows and Anderson, who would always be in that.
Yeah. You're right, actually.
Yeah.
No, good point.
So then we have interviews with the participants of the Royal Rumble, including Savage, Jarrett, Tatanka, the really bad Ultimate Warrior, Diesel, Doink, and Dink, Shawn Michaels, and Lex Luger, the Real American. DiBiase, man, at this point, he needed so much more energy, and it doesn't help that he doesn't want to interrupt Vince, because you can tell that he's working with his boss. So, into the Royal Rumble, a moment we've all been waiting for. We've got a couple of new players in the Royal Rumble, Dom. So, do you mind if I chat about a few of them?
Chat away.
Quang.
I quite liked Quang.
Quang.
I quite liked Quang.
What would he later be known as?
I like. Do
you know who he was?
What was his thing? Yeah, it was really.
Had face paint.
It was really fake. No, I know what Quang looks, but what was he like later on?
Savio Vega.
Oh man.
Savio Vega played Quang, man.
Yeah, man. Savio Vega.
Yeah, man. This is a wrestler that's coming into it.
He's a hugely underrated guy.
Yeah, so I think like next year and sort of wrestling.
I always liked, like I say, I always liked Quang. I thought Quang was quite fun.
Yeah, and they were bringing in a lot of Japanese with Yokozuna being the top performer. They brought in a lot of these sort of characters. Yeah, obviously Quang was based on an Asian character, and he had a largely Asian-inspired moveset, which was different to when Savio Vega entered with Ramon next year.
Some good matches between Quang and the 1-2-3 Kid that I used to watch quite a lot when I was a big.
They on Raw.
I mean, they were on Raw. I mean, they weren't massive things, but decent showings for both of them.
He was iconic, I suppose. It just didn't work, and they was looking for something else. He was an ally to the current world champion, Yokozuna, and this helped extend Yokozuna's reach throughout the whole company, as obviously he was a top anti-American heel. His first appearance as Savio Vega was in Your House in '95, where he's introduced as Razor Ramon's childhood friend. Obviously, he has a much bigger run as Savio Vega. He was one of the members of the Nation of Domination.
Yeah, and was he Los Boricuas?
He was Los Boricuas as well faction, which was Puerto Rican wrestlers.
I'm so old, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I remember all this stuff.
And we're covering all this coming up, man. It's going to be fun. After his run in WWF, he started his run in the IWA, where he became general manager and was the leader of their authority angle, which he was in for many years. He also did a little bit of work for TNA.
I never saw him in TNA.
It wasn't much, but it was a little bit. It was a little bit. Speaking about TNA, another wrestler that's debuting in this Rumble, Jeff Jarrett.
Indeed.
G-E-F-F. J-A.
G-E-F-F.
Yeah, is it
J-E-F-F.
Oh, yeah. What
J-E-F-F.
Yeah.
J-A.
Anthony can't spell.
A. Anthony.
He started his career in Continental Wrestling Association, which just so happened to be owned by his father. Ooh, bet he did all right there, didn't he?
Yeah, oh indeed. Do you think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, or do you think that was a little bit of a peace offering since they've? I
100% think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. 100%. He had a massive Intercontinental Championship run, whether we like it or not.
He has a lot of legacy. Great tag team with Owen Hart.
Chinaman, there's a lot of stuff there. Yes, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And also the stuff he's done. He set up TNA, man. So I'll go into that in a second. You can't be booked badly if your dad owns the company ultimately, and. Yeah, he's done well with his entire career. He's had 77 championship reigns in total, all over the...
Pretty good.
I mean, it's not bad, is it? In 2002, it was actually Jeff Jarrett and his dad who formed TNA Wrestling. I mean, why can someone like that not be in any Hall of Fame?
And and TNA back in the day, I mean, obviously you could say good things about it now too, some of the performers. But back in the day, man, it was legitimately wicked. And they took guys like flipping R-Truth.
Yes.
And made them legitimate main eventers. Yeah. Right, R-Truth was a champion in TNA.
Yeah.
And, guys, I mean, obviously guys like AJ Styles, guys like Bobby Roode, who've all been there and were there for a long time. And made them legitimate. Guys like Jerry Lynn from ECW became main eventers in that era TNA. Took guys that were just never appreciated.
It's another wrestling so I mean, there was sort of stuff with Sting and Cactus Jack. There was Macho Man coming. AJ Styles was there. The thing is, TNA, whether you like it or not, it does have at points some really good stuff. Look at the Hardys, man.
All the broken Hardy stuff.
I enjoy the Sting Joker stuff.
Although that was technically, I think that was mostly Matt's creative control.
Yes, but TNA allowed it to be on. And ultimately, TNA is a company that's paying wrestlers, right? They get a check mostly on time, I believe.
Yeah, certainly in the early days.
Maybe, yeah. So, it's
not sure about these days, but
that's
but they give opportunities to people that didn't shine as much in WWE. Yes. Raven was a world champion when he...
Austin Aries gone back to TNA?
Yeah, Austin Aries is world he's battling Johnny Mundo now. Johnny... He was Johnny Impact in TNA, but John Morrison.
Oh, what is that? Ring of Honor?
Yeah,
or TNA?
no, that's TNA.
Oh, TNA, right?
But he
Cool.
was, there's a partnership as well. TNA are much better than WWE, as you could imagine, at partnering with other people.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
There's rumours of Kenny Omega now being in, having a deal with TNA as well.
So I mean, there's great stuff. It's another promotion, and as wrestling fans, we should, whether we like it or not all the time, like it's great to have another competition. If not, WWF had done everything. I wouldn't have said
they were a direct competition. They had a brief moment where Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Sting, AJ Styles and everything, the kind of golden age, I guess, of our time. Because I would have loved to have been watching TNA when, R-Truth was a champion, because legitimately that would have been entertaining. But, it was a golden age when AJ Styles, Sting, Hogan, Flair, they were all performing. Mick Foley was there for a while.
He was, yeah.
So Christian.
Wrestlers getting paydays, man.
Yeah, Christian was a world champion. I hope they were paying him at this time.
Yeah, there was.
But you would think a guy the standard of, say, Christian would have kicked up more of a fuss if they weren't paying him at this time. But it was a real golden age for TNA, and it was fun to watch. Watching it.
Some of the matches worked great. A lot of the guys were a lot older, and WWF wouldn't have touched them. I was a bit disappointed that I think Flair's last match was in TNA.
One of them was with Foley as well.
Yeah.
They had. I mean,
his ending to his career at WWF just felt so good, but again, it's a payday, right? And who are we to sort of say no, you're not allowed that payday?
Absolutely, let him do it.
And would people like Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy be back in the WWF if it wasn't for sort of building up in TNA?
Probably not.
Ultimately.
Probably not. And the guys like AJ Styles, obviously built their entire career. Samoa Joe,
and it's better than getting a £50. And
I mean, to be fair to, there's select examples, Eric Young, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, their legacy in TNA has allowed them to flourish
in the WWE.
Matt Hardy, I think, was held back.
I'd say AJ's New Japan as well, but yeah.
Matt Hardy, I think, was held back because I think people in the WWE are too nostalgic for Matt Hardy, and they remember him in a certain way. So the Woken thing hasn't quite translated as well as I'd have loved it to. Many people would have loved it to, but it's revitalised him as a performer.
Of course it has.
I think there's going to be, there's a lot of people, Laurel Van Ness and stuff, that are about to debut in WWE. There'll always be that influx of people.
More talent, more people wrestling.
Watching. I'm waiting for people like Rosemary, but then Rosemary's dead against.
Oh man,
she's dead against the WWE run because of very much like Kenny Omega and the
potential young, but there's also rumours that they might be signing, but we'll see.
Yeah, but it depends how much Cody and all that. Dead against the stranglehold, we'll call it. But then
the creative team.
This is a conversation that we should have another time. But do you think that they will just go back? Cody Rhodes in the WWE, does he just go back into mid-card? Do they make Kenny Omega a mid-card?
I don't think they'll go back. I don't think they'll go to WWE.
You don't think they'll go?
I think there'll be more people. There'll be more big talent from WWE going out of WWE in the future. I think people like Daniel Bryan. I think you'd be lucky if he stays around. I think if he's, I think at the minute we're getting this sort of greatest of Daniel Bryan with sort of Team Hell No, and I actually think that they're trying to fit it all in before he decides whether he's going to renew his contract or not. He could do a lot less dates. I was watching a great interview with Daniel Bryan from Gorilla Position where he was talking about, I'd love to do a program with The Miz at WrestleMania, but do you honestly think that WWF creative would be able to handle that very well? And when you've got a guy that's so high up in the company talking about the company's creative lack, that's why he could go out on his own and do his own thing and be massive, man. He'd make just enough money, less dates.
Before we carry on, give me a top 5 wrestlers right now that you think would thrive in the Indies.
Thrive in the Indies.
I say Dolph Ziggler.
Ziggler, yes, I think he'd be a lot better in the Indies. But that's only because WWE have no idea what to do with him ever. I think Daniel Bryan would be massive.
Okay.
I think Shinsuke, potentially.
Throw me a couple of left field ones.
A couple of left fields. Who would be massive?
Who would do well? Doesn't have to be massive, but who would do well?
Someone like Bliss.
Yeah, Bliss isn't really. I'm thinking like I see what
You're
mean.
About
I'm thinking like, what about Zack Ryder?
No, I don't think so.
What is his legitimate level of success?
Ty Dillinger. I think Ty Dillinger could.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm down with that. All right, cool.
Yeah. All right.
So
cool.
Sorry, Jeff Jarrett.
Right, we're talking about Jeff Jarrett, and we've gone massively over it. So his gimmick was obviously it was a country singer, and he wanted to elevate
my baby tonight, be my baby, which was actually the Road Dog.
It was. Boom. You've ruined that fact for me. He wanted to elevate his singing career by wrestling. Was the idea of his character, and he would sing "Be With My Baby Tonight" in WWF. However, it was actually. Do you know who it was that was actually singing it, Dom?
It was the Road Dog.
It was the Road Dog. I bet you never saw that one coming. Who sang it? As Jarrett couldn't actually sing that well. The idea was this to end up as a storyline and a face turn for the Road Dog later on, but the two left WWF before that storyline could sort of play out. And Jarrett headed to WCW before.
Yeah, they referenced it. I think they referenced it a couple of times, but
they reference it now. At the time, there was building to a feud between Road Dog and Jarrett, but then they both left the company. Road Dog not for that long before coming back. His second WWF run ended in apparent controversy, as he apparently, now there's a lot of people that say this did happen, didn't happen. He was Intercontinental Champion, and between him and Vince Russo, they kept the title on him long enough for his contract to expire. So when this whole thing with China was happening with the Intercontinental Championship match, the rumour is he blackmailed Vince to not show up at the No Mercy pay-per-view, which is where China won the Intercontinental Championship, unless Vince paid him X amount of money.
Oh yeah, no, I heard that as well.
There's a lot of rumours about it. We'll never know we might know the truth once we get that awesome Vince McMahon biography, which would probably be the best-selling book of all time. It wouldn't. But, it's no Charles Dickens. But everyone would love to read that, get inside the head of Vince McMahon. After creating TNA with his dad, he'd play a more important part in the companies for many years. I mean, Jeff Jarrett helped build up TNA to what it is. We've talked a bit about TNA already. After all of that and the sort of being... Is TNA the main rival in the US for WWF or Ring of Honor?
I'd say TNA and then Ring of Honor would be the next one. I would say that they're the big three nowadays, I suppose, or the top three.
Yeah. He was TV a surprise entrance into the Hall of Fame in 2018, and I think it shocked a lot of people. I don't think we saw this coming because of the interaction. But you've never mentioned TNA, but they have now. Although
that's the point. Do you think he's a character in the game?
Yes, he will be. He'll be DLC for the next.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think that's part of him.
Baby tonight.
And do you know who else was in Hall of Fame this year that's going to be DLC? The Dudley Boys, which means we're going to get, for the first time in a long time,
They were in the previous game.
Yes, there was, but the Hardys weren't. The Hardys have only come back in this era, so we're going to have Edge and Christian, the Hardys and the Dudleys, baby.
That'd be nice, yeah.
That'd be fun, that'd be fun, man. Do you know who he's married to now, Jeff Jarrett?
I know he had a thing with Deborah, didn't he, for a while?
Kurt Angle's ex-wife.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Next wrestler who makes his debut is Thurman Plug, also known as Sparky. Or Bob Sparkplug Holly.
The Alabama Slammer.
Or Hardcore Holly later on. A massive wrestler debuting here. Had a lot of stuff in the Attitude Era, especially.
A lot of success with the Hardcore title.
Hardcore title, some funny stuff, man.
I went to Alabama earlier this year while I was working in the US, and I made a joke about because I got delayed. My flight got delayed, and I was over in I missed my flight basically because where I was going was like there was so many delays, and across the US is like hours and hours of flights, and I was stuck in somewhere wherever AJ Styles is from. I was stuck there, and Atlanta, and I was so angry, and I made a joke on Facebook. I was like, when I posted on Facebook, I was like, I'm gonna Alabama slam everybody if Hardcore Holly isn't there waiting for me when I arrive in Alabama, Mobile, Alabama.
Very good. He was actually a trained welder and worked as a mechanic before going into wrestling.
Hence the gimmick.
Exactly. Clearly, this was where his gimmick come from. His gimmick at this point is sort of a NASCAR driver.
He was actually a driver, wasn't he? Well, he did actually drive He did drive. There's a couple of promos.
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did.
There's a couple of promos where he's filmed
in
driving.
A car,
him,
yeah. Not in a car, in like an F1 type vehicle. He wants to be really thankful that he won a dustbin man or a hockey player and would end up like the goon because these are the characters that come in. Yeah, man.
I love Duke
These are the characters that are coming in at this time, and it was WWF going, oh well, what was it? Oh well, we'll make that really interesting.
There's never been a dumpster guy, so we'll have him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's never been a guy playing hockey, so we'll have him.
You can be a mechanic.
The last great one. Well, not the last great one. Give me a better one. So ridiculous, but like, I think it was like 2008. The zombie.
Oh,
the zombie in ECW.
ECW zombie. Yeah, but that was like a sci-fi thing as well. So that was
great.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
I loved it. I'd watch zombie matches all day.
You were like some rubbish.
Wasn't he the goon as well?
Yeah, I think he might have been.
He's the same guy who did the zombie
No,
man.
he can't have been. It was way too far apart, wasn't it? Like 2008.
I'll fact check it. I'm probably wrong, but I'll only fact check it just out of curiosity.
Hardcore Holly competed in the Brawl for All, and he was eliminated in the first round by the eventual winner, Bart Gunn. However, he was the only one that Bart Gunn didn't knock out. I always remember his run as Hardcore Holly, as I'm sure most of you do. The Hot Potato Championship, the Hardcore Championship.
Which enabled Raven to become, and I'll reference it again as one of my favourites, the all-time most recognised title holder, so many title reigns. The top title, he had like, I can't remember the amount.
Back and forth with a hardcore
title. I
can't
remember how many title reigns it was of everything, but he is the... Oh, there you go. Sorry. This is what I should say. The most decorated performer, title-wise, in WWE history.
There we go. He suffered a broken neck in a match against Brock Lesnar in 2002. It wasn't. No, it was way too far apart.
It would have been great.
It did look very similar, though. I agree with you.
Yeah.
He suffered a broken neck in a match against Brock Lesnar in 2002. Did you know that?
Yep, his world title push as well.
Yes, bad time.
Brief world title push.
He'd work as a trainer for Tough Enough, and get this, he appeared in TNA just like everyone else, but only for one match. I just want this one.
Was he? I'd like to have a look at that because I can't remember what he.
It was only one match.
Was he a hardcore? Was he as hardcore Holly?
It was one match.
I'll find out.
It was one match. He wrestles in the UK and independents across the world these days to earn a little dollar. A solid wrestler. I look forward to watching his work develop as we carry on. Next up, let's talk a little bit about the great Kabuki. Here we go, a massively influential performer in Asia. He's credited as the first performer to use the Asian mist or green mist as we've come to know it. Yeah, I love that. It's something we don't see anymore. I'd
love to do that. But then who could you do that with these days? Unless it was Tajiri. I know he came back. Tajiri
did come back, yeah.
But then left again.
Has he gone?
Sadly. He was in 205 Live for like a match.
Okay, cool.
And then,
he was also really well known for his super kick, which was known as a thrust kick. This was his first and only match in the WWF. He worked closely with Gary Hart, who would book him out for matches, but would also book the Kabuki character, who would be portrayed by the Magic Dragon. And in 1998, he had a string of retirement matches, including one where he teamed up with Terry Funk and Doug Gilbert to defeat Freddy Krueger, Leatherface and Metalface. But he's since made periodic appearances. He was in Wrestle Kingdom 9 and Wrestle Kingdom 10 in the Battle Royale gimmick matches, and he got disqualified in both of them for using the green mist. An iconic wrestler that come up with such a great move, which has been used multiple times in different ways, and it's great that he's here for the WWF in this Rumble for 2 minutes.
If I had a gimmick, if I had a thing like a special move, like the
green mist,
a signature.
I think when I was playing the Attitude game like years ago, the green mist was my finisher.
Oh,
I loved it, man.
Yeah,
spit in someone's face.
I mean, how do you hold it in? You know what I mean? Like,
amazing.
There's got to be a trick to it. I bet I could find it. I bet I could Google it. I'll do it after the podcast. I want to find out how you
can do a green mist.
And what it tastes like.
You just shut your mouth, I think, and not just like that. Anyway.
Yeah, but you've got to if it was me, it'd seep out, you know.
You'd dribble.
Yeah, anybody would.
So into the Royal Rumble. Right. Let us know what you think of the green mist. And if you're enjoying the podcast and you're still with us, just give us that thumbs up, man.
Give us a thumbs up.
So, first into the Rumble, we have Scott Steiner. Second into the Rumble, we have Samu. The two tag teams, the Head Shrinkers,
there's a nice exchange here, actually, because they all come in, don't they? Around, and it's like there's a nice little exchange between the tag teams in this.
It's all right. Next in is Rick Steiner, and the two start working over Samu. Quite rare at this point. You know, backstage, there was pushing to have Rick Steiner versus Scott Steiner as 1 and 2. But there was... I don't think that would have been the right time to do it, because it would have took away from the Bret and Owen thing.
Never happened in WWE.
What didn't? Rick versus Scott. Did it not? Right. No.
Rick never returned. Very rare. I think he may have had an appearance, but it wasn't a wrestling appearance. Scott came back obviously later on and won a championship in WWE.
Yeah, but we've also
as a main eventer.
In terms of seeing a tag team go at it, we've already had a Royal Rumble where 1 and 2 was Demolition, Axe and Smash a while ago.
Yep,
so actually, I don't think this was the right time for that. I think it would have took away from the Owen and Hart. The two start working over Samu. It's all a little slow. I think these guys were capable of some awesome stuff. You've got 3 guys in the ring that were used to working with each other. Instead, we get a load of really simple double team moves from the Steiners. Yeah. Samu is Irish whipped into the ropes. This is quite a nice exit, actually. And he gets his head caught between the ropes, a la Mick Foley, in that match in Germany when he rips off his ear. No ears were lost during this pay-per-view, though. But what a great way to exit, man. What an exciting way to exit. He's sort of choking on the rope before letting him go.
Poor guy, it looks tough. But
it's cool. It's cool. And then he's eliminated. So next in at number 4, we have Kwang, or Savio Vega. As soon as Kwang enters, he green mists Rick Steiner. Right. Let's talk about this a little. You have the great Kabuki in the Rumble, the inventor of the green mist. And here you have Savio Vega, I believe was Puerto Rican, who was playing an Asian character who comes in and green mist. Was this the WWF having a little bit of a show of power against the great Kabuki?
Potentially there. And potentially a reason why he never...
but wouldn't it have been great to have seen Kabuki green mist in the Rumble, man? If you've invented a move,
and also
to bring him into Wrestle Kingdom just to do the green mist because he did it in the first place.
And then also, just as a performer, like he would have done all right in the WWE at that time.
Yes, it would have been interesting.
I think they spoiled it. They've done that for years. Like I say, give Triple H credit for doing NXT and all that and whatever, but they do have little moments of what do they call it? Macho syndrome, where they like to throw the weight around a little bit.
Yes.
The pair of them. Yeah. And I don't think they'll ever get over that. They have little digs at companies, don't
you can tell this was, I think this was a dig. And
it's not a bad point.
I think it's not a bad point. I just, we've got the great Kabuki in there.
Spoils it. And they've done that through history.
Yeah.
With Sting, for example, why couldn't they have just given him that WrestleMania moment? Anyway.
It's a long conversation, that one. I'm a bit back and forth with that. I don't think you can always have the guy win. And I think Sting knows that. Although Scott keeps going to try and help Rick, his face is bright green. I like the green mist. Do you like the green mist?
Love the green mist.
Cool. Owen Hart comes in at number 5. Comes down to a load of boos.
And he's proper, he's real angry and real miserable and bratty. Yeah.
After a short affair with no real spots, he takes out Rick Steiner. Obviously, Rick Steiner's still with his face. Really disappointing. I bet the crowd would have loved to have seen these go at it, but the green mist sort of stops that happening. Really, which is a shame.
This is the wrong place for it. And honestly, I'm going to say this here. I think I may have said it before, but the Rick Steiner. I always preferred him, the dog-faced real man. I always preferred him as a performer.
I like them both. I think they're great. I think Scott's great at this time as well. I'm excited to watch him in the Attitude Era because I know of him, but it's not something I've watched a lot of. Yeah. Next in number 6, we have Bart Gunn. As absolutely nothing is happening in the ring, Vince talks a bit about an altercation backstage that we don't actually see at this point. Number 7 is Diesel. Big showing for Diesel,
man. Who comes in and does throws his way around.
He goes for everyone. Yeah. He throws out Bart Gunn, Scott Steiner, Owen Hart, and Kwang.
He has a proper good showing.
Right, Diesel comes in, 4 people gone, and Diesel has completely cleared the ring and stands tall in the ring. This is the first time we've seen this in a Rumble as well. Don't forget, so that's quite exciting.
Nice little Kevin Nash, boss around moment. Yeah.
Bob Backlund comes in, goes for Diesel's legs and very nearly gets him out. I was actually surprised Diesel hung on. It looked like Backlund was crazy. Yeah. A shot to the eye gets him off and he's thrown over, leaving Diesel again to wait for the next guy. A really sort of interesting dynamic in the performance. Who's going to be the one to stop him? Will it be number 9, Billy Gunn? Nope. He's quickly thrown over for Diesel to stand tall and celebrate in the ring. We then see footage of Tenryu and Kabuki beating up Luger backstage while he's sort of stood in the ring. What do you think about these spots where it's one person? CM Punk's obviously the very famous one.
I'm very wary of it, and I think that it's good in setting up a dominating heel, but it should only be,
it should be used sparingly.
Sparingly, and I think this time,
Kane had moments like it in the future.
Strowman, there's a few, and it's okay. It's all right in moderation. I don't think they've done it every year. I don't think they've done it, and that's the thing.
And they shouldn't do it every year.
Absolutely not.
Next in is Virgil. Is Virgil going to be the one to stop Diesel? No, he's thrown straight out.
I wish.
Although Diesel did throw some nasty looking elbows, man. And then
I wish.
At number 11, we get Macho Man Randy Savage, and
this is
you
nice.
can feel it.
This is nice until Crush comes in.
Yes,
great.
So here's the challenge, right? And he manages to last for 2 minutes with Diesel.
Yep.
Before Jeff Jarrett enters, Savage is doing some quite good work in this match.
Oh yeah, he has a good go.
Jeff Jarrett in red velvet, looking like the father of Billy Kay. I hate velvet in ring attire, man. It makes me cringe. I hate the feel of velvet. I own no velvet underpants. Do you own velvet underpants?
I'm pretty sure I've seen you in some velvet at some point in our history.
I've got, yes, but no, I hate the feel of it, man. I hate it in a wrestler's costume.
Well, can you imagine doing rest holds?
No, man.
With velvet.
They'd need to be cleaned as well. Oh man, no, don't. I hate the feel
of
velvet.
I'm gonna get someone to bring it to the podcast.
Oh, dude, no, stroke me with your velvet. For those of you wondering, this tablecloth isn't velvet. It's merely carpet. No, it's not. It's a sheet of some sort.
A sheet of some sort, a purple sheet.
Jeff Jarrett is eliminated by Macho Man. Next in, Crush. Each time the heels enter, they go after Savage, whilst Diesel's recuperated in the corner. I think they should have kept Diesel a little bit more in to sort of keep that momentum going for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Savage flies around the ring, constantly climbing the turnbuckles to deliver moves that the crowd get excited for. Macho knew how to look impressive on top of that turnbuckle. When both of them finally get the upper hand, and Crush ends up throwing Savage over. Wow. So then we get Doink entering. Doink enters to a massive pop. Obviously, Doink and Crush have had a feud. This is Ray Apollo playing Doink at this point. Doink comes in laughing at the two heels fighting. When they come over to him, he sprays them with water from his flower. So fun time Doink. Doesn't really have much impact on the match. So
it's a nice little rumble spot.
It's all right. Yeah.
Like when they did Santino and Mick Foley.
Oh man, that's great. No, but that's comic.
That has a place. That has a place.
I agree. Next up, Bam Bam Bigelow. Crush and Diesel open the ropes for Bam Bam. It's quite good. So Bam Bam's had a feud with Doink that we've seen at Survivor Series, and Doink's immediately thrown over the top rope by Bam Bam. Diesel and Crush then go straight after Bam Bam, so there's no friends in the Rumble, Dom. Next in is Mabel. Kevin Nash takes down his straps straight away, inviting Mabel in. Nice. It feels big. It does feel big. Thurman Plug / Sparky Plug. Yeah, what? That's an awful name, man.
Yeah, Spark Plug Bob.
Oh no, they do call him Sparky Plug at this point. I know it becomes Spark Plug, but no, Sparky Punt. Yeah, there's no impact made when he comes in whatsoever. 18, we have Shawn Michaels, who comes out to booze, and we get a square up for Diesel and Shawn here, which is really nice. And then the two shake hands, showing that they're going to work together, which is cool. But whilst everyone is attacking Diesel, Michaels comes to help take out Diesel. So we're getting a feud build up there, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it was a nice little build up.
Biggest problem I had with it is the camera angle didn't show it very well, which is a bit annoying. Next in we have Mo, the small man's Mabel. Michaels, but more on that in the next episode.
Poor Mo.
Michaels is flying around the ring, constantly looking like he's going out by hanging on the original Ziggler, if you will. Greg the Hammer Valentine comes in at number 20. It was at this point I realised how bloody weak the roster was, man, to be dragging out Greg.
Yeah, you wouldn't really get that these days.
No, it is a really weak roster. We're using guys from the previous matches. WWF wasn't thriving at this point, but they managed to do some good stuff at WrestleMania 10. Next up, we have Tatanka coming in. Again, we've seen him already tonight. Goes straight after Michaels, but Mabel stops him by holding him back. Feels like there's absolutely no good reason for that whatsoever. It's a random face-versus-face moment, and I hate that. It doesn't feel justified. I've talked about this in other Rumbles. I'm not going to get too angry. Great Kabuki enters in number 22, his WWF debut, which lasts 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but at least I got him in the Undertaker angle.
If only they'd got the mist in.
I know, man. Instead they give it to Savio Vega.
And I bet that would have been a list thing. That would have been a list.
It would have been, yeah.
They would have brought that back, and they would, to the time Great Kabuki was in the Rumble for 2 minutes, but did the mist.
Yeah, mental. Quite a lot of people in the ring at this point, meaning absolutely nothing really happens. Must be someone big next, and it is Lex Luger. Whoop, USA.
Oh, this whole thing. This whole bit. Like, the whole, just everything Luger. I'm so sorry, man. I just can't get behind him. He has a good performance in this by Luger standards. He's meant to be the next face, and he's meant to be all this stuff and all the build and all the rubbish.
Good. I know what you mean.
Ryback was the same. When Ryback came in, I think they tried to do the same thing and make him into this kind of. But they have to have something. They have to have. That's the problem with the sad thing about WWE performers is you can't just be one dimensional.
No, I agree.
And Ryback was one dimensional.
Lex Luger is very one-dimensional.
Lex Luger is very one-dimensional. There was just nothing to him really, and I'm really sorry about this because again, legendary career. I haven't been had a bodybuilder stature and I hadn't
really?
ridden a bus around the US and all that. Well, I have actually, but not to the level of. Not to the level of Lex
the Lex
Luger.
Express.
No, so I'm sorry about this, Lex. But it's sad. It's sad because I just can't get behind nothing he ever did. Narcissist, none of that. Just there was no personality behind it.
No, okay.
And in this Rumble, he comes in and he has his little elbow and his little plate elbow and he knocks some people out. And the Bret Hart
he brings a bit of energy, right, to the ring.
Not really.
Takes out Kabuki straight away.
Yeah, I guess he gets a few eliminations and stuff, but just I don't know, man.
It's a bit of energy. It's more than it was the rest of it.
I was more excited when Bret Hart comes limping down.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You're more excited, and Bret takes Buddy, because he's having a limp.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That means something. Luger coming down, and everybody's it's like a Roman Reigns. It's like a Roman Reigns. You just people just want him to.
Yeah, I know.
People are crap. God, it's him. It's him again.
I agree. Next up, generation.
I'm forcing Lex Luger down your throat.
I know, man. Get that USA out of my throat.
I'm forcing it down your throat,
Generico Tenryu, was it? Comes in now. Yeah, Tenryu comes in. Everyone starts attacking Tenryu. I wish you'd done a little bit more with Luger coming in and maybe thrown out a few more people than just Kabuki. But no, he's on the turnbuckles. Michaels is doing his best in the ring at this point to keep it exciting. It's okay.
Which he did quite a lot.
Michaels is great. Michaels is great in a Rumble. At 25, no one comes out, and Vince starts explaining that it must be Bret Hart that was at 25. Good idea, man. Turns out later that it wasn't. It was Bastian Booger who was just found some turkey to eat or something backstage. But yeah, the idea that Bret Hart's too injured to perform.
Yeah.
Clever.
That was a nice build.
26, Rick Martel. After his amazing showing in the 91 Rumble, he has no momentum whatsoever going into this. 27 is Bret Hart. Comes limping into the ring. Crush starts punishing his leg immediately. When Tenryu...
This is a weird segment.
It feels like there's a severe lack of story for me in this Rumble. And actually, the story of Hart's legs is what brings a lot of the story, especially towards the end point.
The only way that this is saved, especially the ending, is Bret's stamina. Bret's Bret's feel good. I'm the good guy. I'm
Which
gonna
they've built up all the way
I'm
through
gonna
the
triumph
night.
over everything. That when I was younger,
It's something to get behind.
It made you want to get behind it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Bret Hart was the everyman performer. Luger was a jacked up, not on drugs or anything, but who knows? But
Probably.
he was jacked up. Bret was like the guy that he was the working class. He was viewed in that way where he was going to overcome the odds, and Luger was the over the top
Hulk
Hogan type guy.
28 is Fatu. A few men get Crush out at this point. I feel like there was an opportunity there with Crush. I don't know what it was.
Nah,
I mean, it just feels like nothing.
They wasted him a lot until later on, and like I say, I know they had brought him back a couple of times, but he was very much wasted.
29 is Marty Jannetty, who goes straight after Michaels and brings the energy with him.
Good shot. You see, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
When you talk about energy, that's good.
Yeah, of course it is.
One of the most underrated performers in all history. Sad times, because obviously he's certainly fallen from grace in recent years.
Yes.
But I can't say enough good things about Marty Jannetty.
But the thing is, they had some really nice spots in the ring that they were clearly worked because they've been working together for many years. Like, there was a really nice little spot where Michaels goes for the super kick that just misses Jannetty, for Jannetty to spin on his heel straight away and super kick Michaels. Really nice little tight stuff that they've probably done 100 times at house shows. But it's good to see some actual stuff in the Rumble. And then number 30, we have Adam Bomb. So, yeah. Here's my problem with the end of this Rumble. We've got hundreds of people in the ring, man. There's 12 people in the ring at the end of the Rumble. And it goes on and on and on.
You've talked about your disdain for that a couple of times.
Yeah, man. I don't mind it. Just if it's happening, you've got to have two people in the middle, right? Because that's our platform, and they've got to be working to a point which is watchable.
They've done
not
that a few
just resting on each other in the corners.
They have done that a few times with two of the bigger guys, Kane and Strowman.
When Randy Orton came into the Rumble 2 years ago, and you get guys laid out everywhere, and everyone's just coming in for RKOs. That sort of storytelling is really interesting. Just having guys laid on each other in the corner isn't interesting, man. There's a really lack of any sort of excitement. Hart throws out Sparky Plug. It really felt like it was dragging. Or it didn't even feel like they were working towards an ending. The end was actually the more exciting bit in terms of the way it went down. But this is the problem. We've got too long to get to that ending. There's no interesting spots or anything. Just men sitting in a turnbuckle. Martel takes out Hammer. Tatanka takes out Martel. Luger moves the Rop Dope.
Rop Dope. That's quite good.
Luger moves the rope down for Adam Bomb to go out. I'm just trying to get through it because they're doing my head in. Tatanka's thrown out by Bam Bam. Bam Bam hit out by Luger. Michaels takes out Jannetty. Man, a really nasty botch. This is by Michaels and Bret Hart as well. So Michaels and Fatu
probably the first time it really happened in their history, to be fair. They probably learned from this one.
Michaels and Fatu are going for an Irish whip to get Bret and Luger to clash together. Instead, they reverse it, but Michaels is too late, and instead he sort of just throws himself into Fatu. It really looks awful. You should go back and watch it just to have a little giggle. Hart and Luger throw out Tenryu. I need to learn his name, man.
Tenru.
Thank you, Tenru. The final four is Fatu, Luger, Hart, and Michaels. Vince keeps calling that people are eliminated, even though they aren't. Thanks, Vince. Shut up, you're annoying me. Bret.
But if you want to pay us to do some work for you,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bret starts remembering to sell his leg again. Thanks, Bret. It annoyed me a bit, actually. Bret forgets to sell his leg at times. Luger and Fatu, and it's such a big part of the story,
I do love how perceptive you are, because these things really get your goat, don't they?
They get my
goat.
It
grind your gears.
Shut up, Vince McMahon.
It grinds your gears, doesn't it?
It does, man. It does. It made the Rumble a lot less enjoyable for me than I've enjoyed previous Rumbles. And it shouldn't, because I think most people enjoy this Rumble. I'm just not. It just annoys me. After a quick exchange, Bret and Luger go over the... Oh, right. No. Let's talk about it. Luger and Fatu both go out together.
It was nice to see Fatu in this position.
Michaels and Fatu go out together.
It was nice to see Fatu in this position, in a final four. But I guess at that time you knew it wasn't going to... sometimes you get little shocks or implied shocks.
Yes.
And... it would have been nice to have Fatu, you know.
It wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked, but it would have been entertaining.
It wouldn't have worked.
You know, like a Santino from Under the Ring type vibe, you know.
Yeah. Luger, so Michaels and Fatu burst out. So we're left with Luger and Hart. The crowd start getting built up because these are two people who both have a claim to win the Rumble. Mm-hmm. It would have sort of made sense for either of these two to win the Rumble. So the crowd get excited by that. That's good storytelling. That's the same as they did with multiple Rumbles. Like Final Four's a bigger deal nowadays.
Yeah.
Like last year was amazing. Final Four with Reigns, Cena, Shinsuke and someone else, man.
Hang on, I'm gonna find it out because it was good.
Every single one of them had, and Finn Balor.
Oh, nice.
Every one of those could have won, and that was what made it so great.
And it was a product of the times as well.
Yes.
I suppose this was to a degree with Michaels and Luger and Bret, but in terms of the next generation of how the WWE saw future world champions, with exception to Fatu.
Nobody really knew how it was going to go.
But I love how they do that in the final bit of Rumbles.
Yes.
It's the guys that are supposed to be
better.
It's the guys that are there now and the guys that are coming up. And maybe one or two guys that have been there decades before. Like there's been a couple of Rumbles where Rey Mysterio has been in the final lot, but you know he's not going to win it because he's a legend. And then you've got a couple of other people that are coming up. I think it's been wicked.
There's some great storytelling into it. They've got better at it, a lot better at it, I think. So after a quick exchange, Bret and Luger then go over the top rope together. This is actually really well done, and again, it's a sort of. The nice thing about this Rumble, even though I'm not a massive fan of the work in it, is you've got like three major talking points going out with the Rumble. You have Owen and Bret breaking up again. You have The Undertaker, however you feel about it, ascending to heaven or whatever. And you have this. You have both Luger and Hart going out together. And it's really well done by the WWF because they don't have a clear shot of it.
Yeah.
Intentionally. Absolutely intentionally.
Yeah.
And it's all about getting us to argue in the playground about who won, and we would, man. Yeah. You know, you'd go to school and you'd be talking about who won. I
remember playing with the figures. I had the figures in school.
Yeah, man.
I recreated it.
Just to figure out who would win. Oh, bless you. Did you actually own a Lex Luger figure?
I think there was a Lex Luger figure in there. Yeah, I got one bought for me.
Good.
It was a good. Yeah, I know. Well, my back in the day for my birthdays, I used to get wrestling figures. Yeah. And there was the times where I'd have to, bless my parents who were wonderful people, but I'd have to fake my enjoyment for getting a
Lex Luger action figure.
Yeah, I remember doing that, and I remember there was a couple of other ones I got. Of guys, because I was a 1-2-3 Kid fan, but of course there wasn't a 1-2-3 Kid figure at the time. No. So I wanted one desperately, and I remember, I remember getting an Undertaker one, thinking, it's not that great. I wanted a Bret Hart, you know what I mean?
Really?
So,
wow.
I mean, I was very lucky. I've still got them. They're still in an attic somewhere. Someone's making a lot of money, but yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah, that was good fun.
So Howard Finkel announces the winner, and Luger's music starts playing. Then it stops, and more arguments happen with the refs. Then Howard re-announces the winner, and Hart's music starts playing before it stops. I wish at this point Vince slid into the ring and just sat there and said, "We need a rematch." That's great, man. In that Rumble where he rips both of his hamstrings or something, doesn't he, in his legs, and just sort of sits there. It's funny. Instead, Jack Tunney comes down in this Rumble. Then the winner is about to be announced, but Howard stops to check again with Tunney. It's a really good moment.
I've just flashed back to that moment, actually.
You know what I'm on about now, man.
What?
The Vince bit, right?
Yeah,
it's a funny one. Then the winner's been announced. Howard builds it up and then stops to chat with Tunney. It's quite funny. It's cleverly done. You can certainly feel a divide in the audience, which is good.
I'm still there.
Right, it's good.
I'm still with Vince on the hamstring.
So both of them have won. They announced both of them as won. There's a mix of boos and cheers at this point. The two eventually shake hands into the ring. I quite like this angle. I'm glad it's not done all the time, but I like the angle.
The end where they're shaking?
Where they both win.
But it was better when the Bulldog did it with Bret. And
no. Oh, when Bulldog... No, you're on about Michaels and Bulldog.
Michaels Bulldog,
next. Yeah. Yes, but that's different. That's not them both going over the top rope at the same time. That's Michaels saving himself.
I enjoyed that kind of... Anything like that.
Yeah, it brings about that question. And it is a good thing. Right,
where the winner isn't the winner because someone else is there and there's some dispute for a period of minutes. I like it,
Yeah. Right, imagine this. Get rid of Luger from that. Put it as Hart. Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Now there would have been a real talking point to go out and how much would that have done for their feud?
Yep. Hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. I get that they were saving Owen and Bret for WrestleMania, but wow, that would have been...
Yeah, but what would you have done with Luger?
Just sold him off. Just got rid of him.
Well, exactly. That's why they did the way they did it.
Yeah, I mean,
they were probably, they were probably souring on Luger at this point. Or,
I think they were. They knew they was giving it to Hart. Yeah.
And I think that if they'd have given it to Owen, maybe he would have gone through a Bray Wyatt-esque fall from grace.
But dude, that would have been massive for Owen Hart if it had been Owen in this position.
I'm talking like Lex Luger, the guy that was was in the world. Maybe he'd have been opening the card or something against Adam Bomb.
All right, get this right. So because they have a whole coin toss to see who versus Yokozuna first at WrestleMania 10. Get this right. So Bret wins Yokozuna in the first round, and then the finale of WrestleMania 10 is Bret versus Owen for the title.
Yeah, that would have been
awesome.
Amazing.
Instead, we get a really slow Lex Luger match. Right, I'm not a massive fan of the Rumble itself.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people do like it. I just a little bit going on wrong with me. I like the Diesel section, and I like the finish.
Yeah. I'm with you on the Diesel section. Like I say, I'm more of a fan of those types of finishes where it's a genuine, cool. Shock.
Yeah,
and
it's interesting.
This wasn't. This was like, there's Luger.
Luger, yeah.
I'm sorry. I do feel bad. I don't like to be mean. Against a very credible legendary performer like Lex Luger, but just at this time, just nothing that excited me personally.
It's fair enough, man. It's fair enough. So the best match, Dom, I'd go for the Quebecers versus Owen and Bret Hart. I think that had the most going on.
Yeah, I would say best match was Owen and Bret, but I would say most entertaining was Taker and Yoko.
It is quite entertaining. It's decent to watch.
I mean, just as
best performer
from a memory perspective,
I'm going to give it to Owen Hart because I think he's.
Oh yeah, well I said this in the beginning. I genuinely thought he carried the match. So yeah, I'd say Owen.
And how many stars would you give this pay-per-view, Dom? 2? Yeah, I'd go 2.5. I thought it was okay. It was just a few little bits I let it down.
Cool.
Thank you so much for watching us and joining us on this massive review of the Royal Rumble 1994. If you have liked...
1994.
That's the year that we was in.
Nice.
If you've enjoyed the review, please...
And my singing.
Hit that thumbs up and leave us a little message and say, you guys, you rock. What? And join us, man. Join us on Facebook.
In the 70s.
And Twitter.
You guys, you rock.
You dudes, you rock.
We kiss. What are we?
Yeah, you're like Paul Stanley.
You
I'm
wish.
like Gene Simmons. Take us out. Take us out, Dom. Please hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon, where you can get awesome T-shirts, also available on Redbubble. Thank you very much for joining us. We have been Ant and Dom. You have been our Gaylords and awesome. And
keep it going.
Oh.